Welcome back to the Superheroes Everyday Podcast. I'm Danny Horn. I'm here with Stephen Robinson from Wonkette and the Playtyper Guy. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, Danny. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic. This is Act 3 of the 2016 Batfleck Showdown, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. The story so far. Eccentric millionaire Lex Luthor has hatched a perplexing plot to destroy the cast of Justice League, which is so clever and multi-layered that I have watched this movie several times and I don't think most of it even matters. He invented a new super advanced bullet, and he's aggravated a senator from Kentucky and then destroyed the Capitol building with no noticeable consequences. At this point, he's gone all Snidely Whiplash. He has kidnapped Superman's mom, tied her to a barrel of gunpowder, and he tells Superman to go and kill Batman in the next hour, or Martha Kent will be burned alive. And it feels to me like Lex could have made that threat like several crimes ago, and it would not have made the slightest difference. So let's get into Act 3. Meanwhile, in Gotham City, it is dark and raining, and Batman has turned on the bat signal to lure Superman to this fully destructible video game environment that he set up in order to murder a space god. And Lois is getting a chopper because she's got to be here too. So she's flying across the harbor from Metropolis. We are set up for the big battle. Well, here he comes. The man appears. He's hovering dramatically in the sky. He slams down. Batman is in full, uncompromising battle armor masculinity mode.
I have a question. Do you think that armor that he's able to move around in, obviously, do you think it's stronger than the Batmobile that Superman easily ripped apart?
That's a real good point, which I had not considered.
He was already in a suit of armor that could move.
Yeah, and he just like ripped it apart with no problems.
Had serious radio and a lot of other stuff in there. And yes. Now, but yeah. But he's got kryptonite now.
He does. Superman, actually, I got to give it to him. For the first time in this movie, he tries something sensible, which is to talk to the guy. Mm-hmm. Where he says, Bruce, please, I was wrong. You have to listen to me. Which is nice. Batman does not have to listen to him. Batman hates being told what he has to do.
How does he know he's Bruce Wayne?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good point.
I guess
there's a whole bunch of things that did not. I'm so glad you're here.
There's a lot of scenes in here that would have been nice. I feel like Snyder's like cutting out major stuff for the plot for this movie. He said, no, let's put in more stuff for Justice League.
And there's 31 extra minutes in this movie that we watched. And we still don't get the scene where he finds out that Batman is Bruce Wayne. That's a very good point.
Well, because it's a very provocative statement. Like, if the last time I saw you, I threatened you, and now I'm revealing that I know your well-guarded secret identity. Yeah. That is actually going to escalate hostilities. Not
that is very true.
Just start with I was wrong, but no.
Yeah. I mean, but he's trying though. But
he's trying.
Batman traps Superman with sound waves, which I guess is his way of saying I'm already tired of hearing from you. And then there's guns, and Superman destroys the guns with his laser eyes, and now just the world is on fire, and he keeps like shoving Batman around. And he breaks the bat signal, but all of this is just a ruse. Batman wants Superman to think that he's winning so that he can unleash his new little bomblet that puffs a cloud of kryptonite gas right into Superman's face. And then there's a moment that is so hard for me. Superman on his knees, coughing, suffering from poison gas that he's inhaling. Batman is smiling. He is having a wonderful time. And he says, breathe it in. That's fear. There is a level of gleeful sadism here that I feel like should just turn people off Batman for life. Like every version of Batman. Once you've seen this, Batman is over.
There are fans out there who think that is Batman.
I have such a problem with those people.
I mean, Adam West is more Batman than this, and more yes. Something that, like, whatever your issue. Oh, Batman dance. I don't want I'd rather Batman dance than be a psychopath. I like dancing.
I know, yeah. That's relatable.
But yes, that is fear. So good, yeah. Oh, so he's kind of taunting him.
And then the next thing is even worse, where Batman says, "You're not brave," and Superman tries to punch him, and Batman blocks the punch, and he says, "Men are brave." And that's just ultimately like Superman, who is an icon of masculine strength and power. He is not masculine enough for Zack Snyder.
Well, yeah, he doesn't answer the question. So all he does is dismantle. So during this whole reason you suck speech that Batman is giving Superman, Snyder seems not at all interested in almost two films in addressing why Superman is brave. That is an obvious, because that's the low hanging fruit. Well, yeah, he's indestructible. Why is he brave? Why is
Yeah.
he heroic? Like he's not, Bruce Wayne has to work out or whatever. These are all Lex Luthor arguments. That's the problem because they have them in the same. You have these two same characters, and this is Luthor in the Silver Age suit beating him, saying, "You're not brave. You're whatever."
Yes. Yeah.
That's fear because that's Luthor would, as someone who's lived with fear, says
Hmm.
but that's not Batman. But they want this to be Batman. So then
Right.
Luthor's sort of this ancillary character now. But Snyder doesn't counteract it. He doesn't show, well, here's how he's brave because he actually does have fear. If you're all
Hmm.
powerful,
You fear for everything else. You fear failing. You fear the Capitol building exploding and you don't do anything.
exactly. And just I'm gonna be somewhat treacly here, but I'm a father, and you've never no. There's a fear I've never experienced beyond the fear that whenever I like my kid is not in sight of me, like the fear of dropping him off at school, the fear of like things and being and realizing like there's going to be a point where I don't not control and dominance, but like he's going to go out to college,
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to protect him all the time.
and that you should show that that's what Superman fears, that people will suffer.
Superman should feel that all the time
Yes.
about everyone.
And they don't show it. They don't show him
No.
as someone every opportunity in this 3 hour long movie. You don't show him caring about people.
And just imagine, like, he added an extra 31 minutes into this movie, and you would think that, like, people saw the theatrical cut, did not love it.
Mm-hmm.
Snyder has the opportunity to add a whole other half hour. He could have added a whole bunch of stuff that made Superman make more sense.
Yeah, like give us a human character, especially because you're leading to us wanting to care what happens to him. That's the whole how this film ends, and you
Yeah,
don't deliver that.
that is true. So obviously this just turns into a big dumb kickboxy fist fight. They punch and punch. They go through a skylight down into this abandoned warehouse building where they're going to wreck the place. There is a thing where like I am getting sucked into this unfortunately because Batman is acting like such an asshole that I want Superman just to get up and get him to shut the fuck up. So now I am actually involved despite everything. I'm rooting for someone. And so Superman gets his second wind and the kryptonite gas wears off a bit. And so now he can like pick Batman up by the leg and twirl him around and throw him through a wall, which is helpful. Fight's going to be a little hard on the architecture. I'm like, is that a retaining wall? Because we're going to need that because that's a thing that makes the building go up instead of sideways.
Yeah, just throw him first all through. Yeah, Superman has seen the specs of this.
It's like through pillars and stuff. Yeah, it's not okay.
Yeah, but it's interesting you're saying that you're rooting for like, but Snyder's not delivering upon the fact Superman should, because in the Matrix, in the big fight between Neo and Agent Smith, and Smith is saying the stuff that Batman's saying, like about like this is inevitability and all the sort of fascist stuff about. I guess you'll get to later, but it's more fascist lines that Batman has.
Superman has hit Batman so hard at one point that part of his helmet is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see half of his face, revealing the duality of whatever. Like if you're looking for a B+ on the essay you're writing about symbolism in Batman v Superman, that one's sitting. That's just sitting right there. Batman has another kryptonite gas bullet, shoots that at Superman, and then he picks him up and he throws him all the way down the stairs.
It's a very magic suit he's wearing because again, if you're in a car that's been thrown through buildings and throws up, these are multiple internal injuries you've sustained. But we will not. Batman is so badass he can.
Oh, you know what it is? There's a lot of airbags in there.
Exactly, it's nothing but airbags inside of the suit.
Yeah, you would think actually like getting thrown across the room is pretty bad. Getting thrown across the room with heavy metal armor on does more damage to you. This is a terrible idea.
No, he should have no. Every bone in his body should be broken, but it's not. It's just that sort of manly, like, ugh.
So this is where things are getting serious. We are on the ground floor. Batman ties his grappling hook around Superman's leg and kind of drags him across the floor. And then he says the most baffling thing, which is, I bet your parents taught you that you mean something, that you're here for a reason. My parents taught me a different lesson, dying in the gutter for no reason at all. What? He's like, he swings Superman around, he's bashing him into pillars, and then he looks directly into the camera and holds his gaze on us.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, they taught me the world only makes sense if you force it to. And then he turns and like goes back into the scene. It's like a public service announcement that he is delivering directly to us. The world only makes sense if you force it to, which I don't believe is actually the case.
No, well, this is a direct line from Miller's Dark Knight Returns. And again, this is a scene between two people. And this is a fight where and instead of saying, I bet, because they're not strangers in this, he's saying, you know, you've sacrificed, because and this is a world where Superman's working for Reagan, right? So he's like saying,
right, yeah,
you have anyone with a badge you would say yes to. And, you know, but my parents taught me. But this is a Batman who is bitter and is broken in certain ways, and it has a redemption arc towards the end, which is sort of, unfortunately, people like Snyder and a lot of his fans saw this and just like, well, that's the Batman I want to write forever. I want the person at the end of his rope, that badass, the one who's much more brutal and whatever, because it's a dystopian world. I want to do that forever.
Yeah.
But I mean, even that line is really the world only makes sense when you force it to. It's just a damaged, broken line.
Yeah.
Even in a fight, again, to put this in this context of that book, it's like if you are fighting with me, we're long friends or lovers or whatever.
Wait, we are?
We're lifelong friends. Or
this is new.
You are communicating something to me.
Yes.
In a sense of, I need you to understand because we have a relationship. But if we have just people we met and you don't like me and want to kill me, you don't feel the need to monologue me to death. Like there's nothing
that is
important to convey. So Snyder does not understand that. He's taking stuff from a totally different story and putting it in this mess.
Batman has a big old spear, though. He just has a big, nice spear that he's made with kryptonite. It's scary and it's razor sharp. And Superman's down because of the kryptonite gas, and Batman has his foot on his chest like Roman emperor style.
Superman's very powerful. What is this kryptonite doing? Like, this is so frustrating, Danny.
And Superman is lying there helpless, and Batman is stepping on him. And he says, you were never a god. You were never even a man. And I know, like, I'm quoting every single time Batman says the word men, but it annoys me every single time because that is the only thing that matters. It's never, you were never even human. You were never even a person.
It's you don't work out this way. But this is all Lex Luthor stuff. This is all Lex Luthor stuff from the comics, and you are making a movie with Lex Luthor. So you don't even realize that, these are all lines Lex should be saying. Lex is the one who's like, no, this is all stuff that I worked for, my muscle, my power. You didn't. You're not a man. You're not whatever. And Batman should not be that character.
He slashes Superman across the face. Now he has made Superman bleed. And then they resolve this epic debate.
Oh, God!
The dumbest possible way.
Oh, my God. Yes,
Should I do it? I'm going to do it.
Please.
Superman is on the ground choking with Batman's foot on his neck. Batman is raising the spear, about to just plant it smack in Superman's forehead. And Superman chokes out, "You're letting him kill Martha."
Oh, God.
Which is not the way that you would say that.
No.
You would say my mother. You would say you're letting him kill my mother. Find him, save my mother. No.
That's how normal people, you'd also avoid that pronoun thing. Say Lex.
And I envy a little bit if people who are listening haven't seen this movie and they don't know what's coming. Like the moment when I experienced this for the first time opened my eyes in the world. He had to say Martha because, as we know from the many flashbacks and dream
Mhm.
sequences, Bruce's mother is also named Martha.
Yes, that is, Zack Snyder thought he was very cleverly lampshading just a sense of, look, we're just trying to write comics.
Yeah.
There's a lot of names. It's a coincidence, and that's it.
Yeah, it's just this little trivia. It's like this little nerd trivia thing. But Batman pauses when he hears the name Martha. He has another flashback to the mausoleum, and the goddamn pearls make a late appearance. And he says, "What does that mean? Why did you say that name?" It's very intense. And then in walks Lois fucking Lane to save the day. She just
How
runs
did she get there? I don't understand. It's absurd.
because she just runs right up to this armor-plated lunatic billionaire who until seconds ago was in a murderous rage. That is an incredibly dangerous thing to do, so Lois Lane will absolutely do it. Like, that's a Lois Lane specialty. So she runs up and she says it's his mother, that his mother is named Martha.
Mm-hmm.
Now that Batman knows that he and Superman both have a mother named Martha, all of a sudden now they have something in common. And
Just,
now they're best friends. And he stands there and he changes his mind. He still has his foot on Superman.
oh my God.
And he changes his mind about literally everything.
I thought that he was in this for saving mothers, but apparently it's only Martha's.
It's
Like
Martha specifically.
if you look, like only every person, a little girl was named Martha. Like he only helps Martha's. This is one of those scenes where it's, again, I have so much sympathy for people who write scripts and do things. I've been up against the wall. This is one of those things where I would feel like if you had seen this script, you'd come over to my house, you would just hug me, and then I would be like, I'm sorry, Danny. I'm up against I'm up against the wall. They're gonna start filming next week. I don't know.
I got pages. Yeah.
I don't know how they're gonna resolve this. I just, maybe Martha. They were both. They were like, okay. I mean, it is because just saying they're gonna kill my mother. Just essentially, if there is a point,
yeah,
of getting him down for this murderous rage is the idea of, I have a mother, a human mother, which is something that, say, the world's greatest detective might have realized was the issue, but who cares? And so Lois has to explain.
Yeah. Funniest thing in the movie, I believe, is at this point, Batman, he takes his foot off Superman and he kind of just like shuffles back and forth a little, like he's just committed like the world's dumbest party foul. And now he just doesn't know what to do with himself.
Yeah, it is. That actually is a funny moment. He's
like, well, don't I have egg on my face?
And he's totally changed his mind. Like, it is complete.
Yeah.
That is not a normal human. So at this point at all, he's given up telling any sort of human. Nothing for this point at this point.
I don't even know.
Sense.
I mean, I've seen on Quora and I've seen on Reddit and stuff, people saying, like, actually, it's not that dumb because it's not about like the fact that both are. It's a metaphor that like it's about his humanity. I disagree. I respectfully disagree. It is really that dumb.
It is that dumb.
The bottom line is this movie only makes sense if you force it to.
Exactly.
And frankly, I do not have the energy at this point to do that. So Batman just throws a spear across the room and he's like, well, fuck that then. Like, what do you guys feel like doing now?
Yes, let's go get some Chinese.
Some chips. Yeah, we're going to go and get some hot wings or something. Martha's all tied up to a chair. She's very unhappy. There's a countdown clock that is currently at 10 minutes. And Anatoly is there because Anatoly is always everywhere. He's so hands-on. They're in a little room and he has a flamethrower with a fuel tank on his back because Lex told him to burn Martha alive instead of shooting her, which would be a lot more efficient.
Remember when Superman was concerned about Batman's violation of civil liberties?
Yeah.
I think he's going to get over that.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not a problem now. Yeah, no, all is forgiven.
Given the next scene.
We cut back. Superman and Batman sitting in a tree. They are now super bros, and they start solving problems rather than creating them. Superman,
like, I gotta go save my mother. He doesn't know where to go to find her, right? And Superman's like, I'll do it. You've got to help the city because I guess Lois has explained that.
Yeah, Superman tells Batman that Lex is holding Martha somewhere, and Lois says the crashed Kryptonian ship is drawing power from the city somehow, and so they split up. Where Batman's going to go rescue Superman's mom and Superman's going to go deal with Lex and the ship.
Batman literally says, "You can trust me. I won't let your mother die." It's like 5 minutes that you had I have
spear.
trouble.
I know.
Murder me.
I know. I still have a little scar on my cheek from where you just fucking cut me. Oh my God, it's unreal.
Traumatizing event.
Yeah, no, they go off on their separate adventures, and then Lois Lane is left with the kryptonite spear, and she decides that the best thing to do in this circumstance is to throw it into the sea. I don't know. Do you get this part? This is the other thing where I'm like, there's a pool of water, and I don't understand where it comes from. There's water in this abandoned building, and I just did that make any sense to you? It's not even a joke. I have no idea.
Sense. It's I tend to think disposing of radioactive materials near running water.
Yeah, that's a bad thing.
Not murdering like some people, like a bunch of fish, like so like on top.
I don't know what it is. It's like a random puddle. She just drops it in water. She doesn't have a lot of disposal options. Yeah.
It's just I would take the radioactive material and take it somewhere.
Take it somewhere.
It's already evidence of an attempted homicide. So
you don't even throw batteries away like that. Yeah. Now the whole movie's shifted tracks. Everything before this was Batman killing Superman. Everything from here on, two of them fighting other stuff. So Batman goes to the dirty warehouse where Anatoly is holding Martha. And there is a well choreographed, very exciting, and very lengthy bat fight with, I don't know, 35 mercenaries, maybe more. Hard to tell. He knocks them down. They respawn like it's a video game. There's just like this stream of faceless bad guys, and they're going to keep coming until the director decides that he doesn't want to do it anymore.
If you go on YouTube, there's inevitably, again, some Snyder fans or Don Snyder or whatever who's like, this is the best Batman scene ever. And this makes me feel old and depressed because it's like he's not like solving a mystery, he's not solving a crime, nope. He's not saving anyone, he's just killing people. And that's what you think is cool.
Yep. He stabs a guy. He pile drives him, he hits him with stuff. The majesty and power of his armor and his big ass biceps. I mean, I do have to say, like, I do enjoy the spectacle of a good like video game fight scene.
No, sure.
It's, there's some good moves, but it's 3 minutes long, and it feels like it's longer because there's a ticking time clock.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time I'm just like, yeah, but Anatoly, he's already flaming up, and Martha's in the other room, and I feel like he's likely to just murder Martha just because he's tired of waiting.
Yeah,
for Batman to finish up.
Is Lex gonna be that annoyed?
I know
if he killed her at 57. I don't think he was ever going to uphold his end of the bargain, like return
at all. Yeah. So Batman, he busts into the room. He's done. He does something heroic and utterly stupid, which is to shoot a hole in Anatoly's fuel tank, which creates an enormous explosion of fire, like it is in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then he protects Martha with his thermal rescue cape or something. And now she's safe. So that's nice. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Most of what we just saw would have only made sense if that was actually Superman. So often, Batman is depicted. Batman is way too often depicted beyond doing what any normal human can do. But granted, that happens in those Tom Cruise Mission Impossibles where he's like tossed against a brick wall and gets back up. And Superman is just presented as being too godlike to be interesting unless you confront him with a rock, and then he's useless.
Right.
But yeah, it is.
You know what the problem is, I think, for you and me?
Mm-hmm.
We keep talking like there's a character named Batman and a character named Superman that are in this movie. I think we've been tricked by the title.
Exactly.
And the title says
I'm still
Batman,
waiting for Dawn.
Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. It implies there's a character named Batman, there's a character named Superman, there's going to be a Dawn, and there's going to be some justice. There aren't any of those things. The only thing that matters in that title is V.
Yeah, exactly. And Martha, who has been kidnapped, which is often a bad time, has been kidnapped.
She's been unhappy.
Almost murdered.
Uh-huh.
Now the scary man holding, she's like, "You must be one of my son's friends." Yes. Waka waka.
That's a cute line. It's a cute line. No, I have to.
I know.
We need. No, but I agree with you. But we need all the jokes we can get at this point.
Exactly. Let's get us through this.
Yeah. Superman's across town. This gets worse. Superman's across town confronting Lex in the big, messy Kryptonian ship, and Lex is very cross that Superman didn't bring him Bruce Wayne's head on a spike. And he says, I cannot let you win. I gave the Bat the chance to do it, but he wasn't strong enough. See also everything that I've said about the dialogue so far in this whole entire thing about men and whatever. So here's this thing coming to life right on schedule for the end of the film, coming to life in the Genesis chamber. It is sucking in power from the city, and there's a citywide blackout. And I'm like, oh, great. That's just what we fucking need. Make the movie darker.
Yeah, I could make out anything that happens in the rest of this movie.
And if you want an unlikely and nonsensical plot twist, here it is. He accessed the Genesis chamber. He fed it Zod's body and a few drops of his own blood. And the Genesis chamber took those raw ingredients and created this enormous, lumpy kaiju who bursts out of his birthing sac and immediately screams and wants to kill Superman. And my question is, which of his two dads had the genes for being an enormous nightmare monster? It makes no sense to me that Zod plus Luthor equals whatever the fuck this is.
Yeah, it would have been funny if it just came out like a very small Lex
like this,
Luthor.
Yes,
Hi, everyone.
A baby, for one thing. It would be like a little with floppy hair.
It just creates a monster. There are other ways to create a monster that's Kryptonian. They didn't need Luthor's blood. Like, this doesn't make any sense.
It's baffling. How would you make this? And it's just straight up like, we wanted a big monster to fight at the end of the movie, and we forgot to put a monster in it. So we did it this way, and we just called it Doomsday.
Doomsday is one of the dumbest aspects from the comics. He was just lumped in to kill Superman. But that was in a storyline where Superman was a hero. As you say, a character named Superman. Why do we care about this guy? And why do we about this Doomsday? So yes, it's just a big, dumb slugfest from this point on. I don't even, please try to make some sense of it.
I will try. Doomsday, he has a lot of sweet fighting moves. Considering he's about 18 seconds old, he's pretty good. Tosses Superman around, crushes stuff, jumps all the way up a skyscraper and kills a helicopter. And then, so there's, of the many head-poundy things, this, for me, for the first time in this movie, all of a sudden the feds are involved. We are in a very important room where the president of the United States is asking what is up with this enormous unidentified creature running rampant in Big Town. Now, if the question is, what should we do about this supernatural event happening in Metropolis? The obvious answer is, let Superman take care of it. But all of a sudden, everybody's backseat driving. So Doomsday is on the top of the tower. He's trying to find a quiet place to think for a minute. And all these little biplanes are buzzing around him, trying to shoot rockets at him. It's like, hello, it's his birthday. Like, give him a break. But it turns out that he is one of those fuckers who gets stronger the more that you hit him on account of the word energy. And as you know, in fiction, you say the word energy, and
dear God,
anything is possible. They keep like shooting at him and stuff. And so Doomsday's getting even bigger and stronger and more kaiju-y the whole time. But the superheroes are on their way. Batwing is flying over to Metropolis. Wonder Woman's getting off her plane. And then here's Superman. Shoots by. He picks up Doomsday and carries him up into orbit. Smartest thing he's done in the last 2 movies. He can take care of business out in space instead of like in the middle of Metropolis. Like he does. That's a great idea as far as Superman's concerned. First good thing he's done. And the goddamn Joint Chiefs in that important meeting room are like, cool, let's shoot a nuclear missile at him. They're high enough in the air. It takes them 5 seconds to arrive at that conclusion.
What about the fall? Oh, God, stop. I'm not going to.
Only in a Zack Snyder film would you have the president of the United States shooting a nuclear bomb at Superman. That guy's one of a kind. So Superman's up in space. He's punching Doomsday, knocking him all over the place. He sees a nuclear missile arriving, and I have to imagine that he's thinking like, oh, for fuck's sake. What is this now? So he is hit with a nuclear warhead. And the crazy thing is, it makes no difference to the movie.
Just alludes to another scene from Dark Knight. This is literally like some of the worst adaptation stuff. The sense when you again of like, oh, this was I'm gonna throw this in. Did you justify having this in there? No. So there's a scene where and then he gets hit by a nuclear bomb, and then the sun comes and he gets strong again. But like, okay, but in the course of this endless movie, it makes zero sense. And so he and Doomsday muck it up again, right?
Yep. So then, yeah, he gets bigger and more powerful because he's got more energy. And Bruce is in the Batwing. He decides he needs a Kryptonian weapon, which happens to be the one that he had and threw away like 20 minutes ago.
No.
So now he's going to use the Batwing. He gets Doomsday to chase him to Gotham City so that he can crash and find the spear and try to figure out something to do. And so Batman's about to get laser-eyed by Doomsday, and then all of a sudden, here's Wonder Woman. Boom. Her new costume, her new theme music. It's very exciting. She's amazing and powerful, and she smacks her bracelets together and she brushes Doomsday back. And at this point, everybody in the audience, you're grabbing your phone to go on Fandango and pre-order for the Wonder Woman movie.
It's great of Snyder to introduce Wonder Woman in the sequel to the movie where maybe Wonder Woman might have been useful since she exists on the world that aliens are trying to destroy.
Oh, right. She could have maybe done, she could have thrown in a little bit. Well, we find out later that she's been taking a break.
Yes, he's great. He's good about heroism, Snyder.
Yeah, like really is. There's something happened. Somehow after around 1918, something happened. And she just was like, well, fuck this. So, but guess what? Superman's fine. And so here they are. Here's all our big three superheroes together in a line: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. They do a cute moment. I do like this moment of where Superman says, "Is she with you?" And Batman says, "I thought she was with you." And it's just like it's a funny little lampshade over the fact that here is a character who's been dropped into this movie by helicopter because we want to promote the next movie, but she is in a very exciting power stance. It's a great visual. So meanwhile, the other superhero in the film, Lois Lane, she has seen the big scary monster, and somehow she knows that it's kind of sort of Kryptonian because the audience knows that, and Lois always knows what the audience knows. So she runs back to the swimming pool, ? I don't know what it is. And she has to dive into the water and get the kryptonite spear and get trapped under some rubble and drown. There's more fighting. They punch and they jump and they try to stab with a sword. There's a lot of like trying very hard acting. With Superman hitting Doomsday with his laser eyes, he has to try really hard. And then he hears Lois pounding on the rubble that she's trapped under, and so he goes in and saves her just at the last second. Punch, punch, punch. Wonder Woman cuts Doomsday's hand off. He grows a new one, which is just annoying. We're never going to get anywhere with this guy. This is hopeless. But it turns out, Steven, if you believe in yourself and you stay true to your friends, you can accomplish anything, like I've been taught in every movie that's ever been made. And so everybody comes together. You're loving this part. Tell me kind of how.
Oh my God.
I've broken you somehow. I keep waiting to like have you to invite you in, and you're just like.
The scene is just so tedious, and there's like, I've always been something. Like every Marvel movie or superhero ends with a fight scene at the end, and I try to defend of like, if justified, it's good catharsis and points and this, but there's no sense of anything character-wise or narrative-wise is being paid off. It's just
a big monster. Yeah,
they're just suddenly fighting a monster. Like it literally, like someone broke into my parents' house and found like a Batman versus Superman script I wrote when I was 8.
Right, where there's just a monster at the end.
They just fight the monster. Like it's just out of. It should have ended with just saving Martha Kent.
Should it though?
And taking it. They want something, right? They want to drop.
I feel like if we want to make this a good movie, we got to unwind way past that.
Oh well, no. But I'm saying for what they've built up.
Yes.
Like that's the
And then then you catch Lex. Yeah.
And that's the fine. That's it. I don't need more, but they felt like they needed to bring in Doomsday, like he was like the encore. Like I really want the scene so they fight. But yes.
And you know what? Things on Earth. Things fall.
Oh yes.
And they are fallen. And this is how that happens to Superman. Everybody comes together. Wonder Woman is holding Doomsday with her magic golden lasso, and Batman is shooting kryptonite dust at him. And then here comes Superman armed with that kryptonite spear that is currently going to kill them both. And he knows it's going to kill him. And he believes in himself. And he goes and does it anyway. He just drives that spear into Doomsday, and it kills them both. And what falls is fallen.
Yeah. No, Superman's death is not earned in any way. in this film. There's no sense of he's
Yeah.
it's just sort of that's something that happened. Superman died and then came
Yes.
back, and so we're going to sort of do this. It's just mindless.
Yeah. And I think the craziest thing is just that like everybody's upset, including Batman.
Yeah, no, there's the Batman slutty, his best friend. He was going to kill him like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. He was just on the verge.
Like just 20 minutes. Like I've never.
He would have done it too if he hadn't been distracted by the stupidest possible thing that anyone could be distracted by. He would have killed him. Yeah, and so there's these two funerals. So Lex Luthor's caught, by the way. Hooray. They caught Lex Luthor. I'm not sure who finally decided to have him like arrested for the million crimes, but somehow he's arrested now. And they do these two different funerals. There's a military funeral for Superman, and then there's a personal funeral in Kansas for Clark Kent. And Lois is very sad. And that's very moving, seeing Lois Lane sad. But then really like the thing that's crazy is just that like Batman and Wonder Woman both show up to Clark Kent's funeral and act like they're sad.
She never met the asshole, right? Like she's just sort of there. She's like Bruce's girlfriend who's just like you're and his buddy died. You've got to go to the funeral.
Right. Yeah, well, and he invited her and she's like, "Oh, why did I come to the funeral with him?" So he tells her, "I failed him in life. I won't fail him in death. Help me find others like you. We need to stand together." Because standing together is something that he is great at, obviously.
I failed him in life, but like literally he almost everything up.
I failed him in every possible way and continue to do so. Yeah. And then we get the big message. Wonder Woman says, 100 years ago, I walked away from mankind, from a century of horrors. Man made a world where standing together is impossible. What?
No, because you didn't do anything.
Standing together is impossible?
You gave up. Also, I don't know. I think Martin Luther King Jr. would disagree with you, or Rosa Parks, or the Stonewall riots. There's a lot of stuff. Wonder Woman, of people who stood up, who could have used her help and stood together and changed the world. It's such a cynical. It's so annoyingly like. I would find it adorable from like a 19-year-old philosophy student. It's like, look, I get it. I was there. But you're a grown-ass man. So I have very little patience for this damaged thinking it's deep philosophy. Like my whole point of wanting to see a superhero movie is to see people who believe in things and believe in, I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna do just one more line, and that'll set up the rest of our craziness that we're about to do. Batman says, "Men are still good. We fight, we kill, we betray one another, but we can rebuild. We can do better. We will. We have to." So, and that's the end of the film. Like, I think the question that we have to answer is, when Batman says we can do better, what does doing better mean, according to this movie?
Idea. I mean, Snyder never answers that, because the next film is also just an external threat. It's not about doing better as people or something. Yeah, I have no idea. I feel like Snyder puts a lot of things in. It's just, it's just not words. It's not a knock on your performance. You deliver those lines well. It's just that they don't mean anything. It's just like most of the stuff, like he believes in things that just like so either juvenile or nihil, just okay. But then we hunt, we kill, we men. Like, oh Jesus.
I mean, it's frustrating because he's trying. It's frustrating because like there are some questions that I think are interesting questions. Like, we live in a world that has Superman in it, and so that means people are going to react to that in particular way. There's going to be religious implications. There's going to be political implications. Like, it's going to be kind of difficult to figure out kind of like what are we doing with this guy? And it kind of just like raises those questions, which is like the first step questions. And then it just leaves them. And it turns out we needed that power anyway. There's this question of like, do we need a guy to have all of this power? And the answer is apparently yes, because a scarier thing comes along. And that means we need Superman to protect us from that. And And now, without Superman, Batman wants to build a team of metahumans to work together to once again be more powerful than anything else. Like, the film has spent a lot of time trying to question the idea of an individual having a lot of power, like more power than anybody else.
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. We need to acquire as much power as we can and hold on to it and challenge everybody else that might get more power, and we need to shut them down. I kind of wonder how Snyder thinks about like how humans actually feel and handle things. Because there's no conversation in this movie. There's no compromise. There's no negotiation. There's no attempt to communicate with each other. It's just like authoritarian power, basically, resting in the hands of like individual men with big iron fists. And that is necessary for the continued existence of humankind, because if we don't have that, if we don't have somebody with big iron fists, then Superman is going to destroy the world and bring all these bug people in.
Yeah, it's just not a story about, at its core, the idea is just that there are those of us, everyone in the world is good ultimately, and then those of us who have been gifted a power step up. And if you think of, films from Superman, Spider-Man 2 to Dark Knight, both have scenes where the people are showing themselves to be demonstrably good. So Spider-Man is unmasked and people stand up to protect him. And then in Dark Knight, the people like, we won't play the Joker's cruel game. There's a sense of, at its core, they make a point of wanting to say that there are people are essentially good and the heroes are part of that, just more powerful.
Right.
And Snyder is not interested in that at any point. So that is the movie.
So this is the most depressing thing. You know what? The Man of Steel episode ended really depressing as well. And so, you know what? I can't wait until we talk about Justice League, which is even darker. And then Zack Snyder's Justice League and a season of darkness falls across the DC extended universe that they are now struggling to get out from under. Stephen Robinson, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Where can people find you in the world?
At wonkette.com. I write for them regularly. I write for Primetimer TV and film criticism there, and the Playtyper Guy podcast, which I talk to folks in the political and theatrical world, and hopefully we'll soon have you on. I would love to chat with you about what you do and everything, and going back and whatever. So yes, and I'm on the evil tech billionaire site at SER1897 on Twitter, and please check me out. And
absolutely,
thank you, Danny.
Thank you so much. For more comedy about the history of superhero movies, you can go to the blog at superheroeseveryday.com. If you like the show, please leave a review, or you could reach me on Twitter, on Facebook, or on the blog. It would be great to hear from you, and please tell everybody that you know about the show. Next time on the podcast, Trevor Bolliger returns to talk about Bryan Singer's uncanny giant-sized mutant masterpiece, Marvel's X-Men. Are mutants dangerous?
I mean, the answer is yes, but...
Obviously, yes. They're incredibly dangerous. Like, mostly they're dangerous to themselves and each other. But, yeah. One of the main themes of this podcast is the history of shirtless dudes in superhero blockbusters, and I think this might be the first real deployment of shirtless male torso as a storytelling engine.
It's a movie that's, for a large part, set in a high school, so it embodies high school life. So gossip is like a through line to this movie.
You're right, that is the only answer.
I'm brave of the movie to admit that physics actually exists, and then for all the fight scenes to just disregard them. But go on. Breakfast?
All right, get excited for that. Come back next week for the Superheroes Everyday podcast. Thanks for listening. Love you. Bye.
Breathe it in.